What up, world? Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. You already know what it is. Welcome to Two Gents Fireside Chat. We got greatness in the building. My brother Jason Cressey from Seattle, Washington. Futurenot, True Loves, Trombonist. Keep it locked. We'll kick things off when he joins. Shout out to my man Boogs. Fireside Records. You already know what it is. Cop that cocaine white wax. The translucent gold limited edition. I see everybody on the line. I appreciate all y'all. Kick things off real soon. Cop that True Loves. Jay Cressey's in the building. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hello. I'm good.
You're sideways.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
My
Happy to
phone's
be
not
here.
connected here correctly. What are we at?
Awesome.
OG.
Yo, you look like you live in Seattle, man.
You look like you live in Seattle, man.
Oh, cool, man. Listen, I see we got about 10 on the line. I'll go ahead and kick things off if you're ready.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. I want to welcome everybody to Two Gents Fireside Chat. Fireside Chat, similar to interviewers. However, we take the time to do the research because we want to support and strengthen other existing interviews and articles that are out there. I am so excited today. We've got Jason Cressey, Futurenot, True Loves. The story of how we got connected, though, is what's really cool to me. I had been listening to Jason's music for a long time without even knowing, whether it was True Loves, whether it was Lucky Brown, Mesquite Sweet, Futurenot Records, Kelly Finnegan and the Monophonics. I had no idea until I pulled up to see Alana Royale in Seattle, Washington. I come to the show, kind of off in the corner. This is like my first time, to a show in a couple of years since the pandemic. But I was really vibing with the horn section. So I was there the entire night. I figured, you know what? I'm going to hang out for the Monophonics. I don't have anything else to do. Came to see Alana, but I'm going to hang out, check those guys out. Fantastic show. True Loves come to town, and I go to see that. And I'm watching Jason, and I just think he's absolutely fantastic. But my whole point in telling you this story is I'm always talking about digging deeper, going to the connection points. And if it wasn't for introducing, myself to Jason, seeing him at the shows, I would not have been able to dial down and make that connection and really understand who True Loves are from the individual perspective, seeing all the different personalities live. One of the best shows I had ever been to. Folks, I want to welcome Jason Cressey. Thank you so much, buddy.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you recently wrapped up a mini tour with Kelly Finnegan and the Monophonics, right?
Yeah, well, we did. It was Kelly Finnegan's band, The Atonements.
Okay.
Yeah, we were down. Hello, Atonements. I see you in there, Vivica. Yeah, we were just down in kind of the California area doing a little bit of a holiday Christmas run of sorts.
Okay.
Kind of, promoting Kelly's record, A Joyful Sound, and all of the lovely people that were involved with it.
So what was it like doing that show with Kelly and his band versus the Monophonics?
I mean, it's definitely different, definitely two different entities entirely, Monophonics have a huge history, and obviously that's something that probably, in the grand scheme of things led to Kelly splitting off and forming the Atonements. And, but it's kind of a 6-piece band in the Monophonics. So 2 horns, with backup vocalist when we can get them, and drums, guitar, bass, Kelly, doing all the lovely things. And then the Atonements is a little bit more of like the throwback soul, it goes a little bit deeper. We definitely have backup vocalists on every show. It's just, it's kind of necessary with his music. So yeah, I mean, and with every personality in the van, essentially, it creates a different tour entirely. So, it was amazing to be able to do both versions of some awesome San Francisco bands.
Yeah. How do you go to prepare for something like that with Kelly versus True Loves?
Well, I mean, True Loves is kind of, I'm involved with the rest of the True Loves and writing it. So it's definitely a different attachment we have to the music. So, just like with any other band that you might be playing with, you're just doing a lot of listening, learning of music, learning of vibes, making sure you got your parts down, making sure you're ready to play other people's parts if necessary, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and dial it back a little bit. Tell everybody where you're from, and I'd love to know when music really became serious for you.
Sure. Well, I'm from Renton, Washington. If anybody's ever been out there, there's what is it? They got like a Safeway and a Taco Time.
There's a killer Walmart.
Taco Time. Got a jam on that. But I grew up in Renton in the Kent School District. Went to this high school called Kent Ridge. It had a really good music program, and I come from a bit of a musical family, so playing instruments and being musical, especially around like Christmas, is definitely something we always kind of did, you know. But I played trombone since I was in 5th grade, and it was the only instrument really available to me because it's what my dad played. So I didn't really have much choice in the matter.
Okay.
But glad I picked it. Glad my dad played it, I guess. Got going out there. The music program at Kent Ridge was great. Exposed me to a lot of jazz, big band jazz. And eventually went up to Western. Got a business degree of all things. Got to study though with Chuck Israels. So that's kind of my background. It got me to where I'm at now, I think.
So was your dad kind of an influence then in terms of playing the trombone?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's the reason I'm playing trombone. I would say though, more than even him, it was my grandmother who was more of the influence. She was a church organ player, so she did a lot of piano and organ accompaniments at church. All the churches in Taft, which is just outside of Bakersfield, California. I kind of grew up with, every year grandma would send us some awesome homemade tape cassette of her playing all the piano songs for us for Christmas. And, just very, very much exposed to music my whole life without really knowing what was going on the whole time,
Sure. So what did it mean to you then to be able to kind of play the trombone? Then you're kind of picking up the baton from your father, musical influences, the family with your grandmother. What were you feeling inside kind of as you're like, I love this instrument? What was it about the trombone, and why did you continue to even pursue that later on in life?
I think the trombone just ended up being my vessel, like it was the instrument I knew the best, the instrument I could communicate the best on, so that's just kind of how it happened. My dad played it. So, I mean, there's definitely like a huge draw to like, figure out that whole thing and connect the dots there. But really it was what I did, it was the only instrument I could really call myself like capable on, I took piano lessons and stuff like that, but I would never, even now, not go up and try and play a piano gig somewhere. It's not quite my jam. But give me some Mellotron, and I'm your Mellotron guy.
I love focusing on hardware because it's something that we often overlook. When it comes to playing like a trombone, are there different makes, models? What's the right trombone for you? And kind of talk to us about how these sounds come out if you can.
Sure. I mean, I play like a straight, concert B-flat trombone. It's pretty standard. I don't know. You typically see trombones in either like one whole, tube, from mouthpiece to bell, or you see it with this thing called an F attachment or a lower attachment, E attachment. I've always played the lighter horn because it's lighter. It's easier to play. I don't often play that low on the horn anyways. It's what Trombone Shorty plays. It's what I learned when I was a kid. It was the first horn that I had. I had an F attachment, but I only played it like orchestrally, so just always preferred the lightweight Ferrari trombone.
Ferrari, I like that. That's very good. Okay. So when I think about Futurenot, I think of True Loves, Kelly, and all that stuff. I'm hearing jazz, I'm hearing funk, soul, and a little bit of hip hop. Where does all of this come from? How were you influenced growing up? What was it that we always kind of get back to that? I don't want to say that golden era sound, but it's stuff that you'd want to sample if you were a hip hop head. So where did all that come from?
Well, man, there's so much influence. I mean, I'm learning every day. I think every musician would kind of say the same thing. It's like every day you get to find new music out there that your peers or people you've never met before making, and that can all be inspiring. I definitely started with like a very specific, like my parents listened to, stuff like ABBA and Chicago and, bands kind of from back that era that were kind of more like pop music, more popular. Definitely wasn't listening to any jazz growing up. Vince Guaraldi and his Christmas record was a frequent hit. It was like basically when I started playing in high school, jazz band introduced me to like jazz, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, the basics, I kind of really enjoyed, I started, getting into like big band jazz and stuff. And honestly, it was like Brian Setzer Orchestra and stuff like that was kind of happening at that time that I was starting to listen to. But, yeah, I mean, big band jazz kind of led me to Al Gray, who is my favorite trombonist. He's the guy that kind of made the plunger famous, played with Count Basie for years, has some amazing solo records. You know, if you're trying to find blues trombone stuff out there, check that out. But, you know, he kind of like got me going down a very specific kind of, here's my sound within jazz. And that kind of took me into Western when I was studying with Chuck, doing a lot of, you know, plunger work and kind of focusing more on, like, I would say jazz specifically. But yeah, I met Lucky Brown in college.
Wow.
And he was, this is Joel Ricci, Lucky Brown, Joel Ricci. Check out his music. You know, he was like the first guy to really ever pay me for a gig, actually. I was like 18 up in Bellingham. But he was kind of like the spark. He was the one that turned me on to James Brown. He was the you know, and that road just opened everything up down that funk and, you know, soul kind of route. You know, a lot of credit due to that man.
That's wild, because he's
yeah.
one of my favorites.
Yeah. He's always been one of my favorites. You know, it's like his music's always spoken to me. And I don't know if it's because he was, you know, so present early on in my, you know, education. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's part of that in there. But yeah, I mean, that like, I really opened the door to like not only playing jazz, but now playing funk and, you know, like playing the bar scene and, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And so that was really the, I was jumping into the fire with that, you know. At 18, just big band jazz under my belt.
That's kind of a good precursor to the next question. I kind of wanted to understand the evolution of how everything started, at what point there was, you know, the connection with Lucky Brown, then True Loves and so on like that. Can you kind of take us back to that first meeting with Lucky and really where did he find you? What was it like? You know, what's a recording session like with Joel?
Oh my gosh, recording sessions with Joel are the best. I met Joel. The reason why I got called for this is because one of the trumpet players that wanted, like Joel was doing a gig down at, you know, Boundary Bay Brewery, and he was putting together a band, you know, lots of horns. His trumpet player, I guess, threw my name out there. This guy Kevin Woods put my name in the hat, I guess, essentially. But I got the call, went down, played the gig, you know, and that kind of, I guess, like I said, it's opened the door with Lucky. You know, how it leads to the True Loves is crazy because, you know, Lucky, you know, years later, I graduated college. I started working for Target as like a retail manager. And, you know, that's a horrible direction I was going. I had to get out of it, moved back to Seattle. And because of Lucky Brown, I started working in Seattle with this band called Tubaluba, on reference, Mars Lindgren, another trombone player I'd worked with up in Bellingham for a long time. He's the trombonist on most of Lucky's recordings, actually. So anyways, started working with Tubaluba. That introduced me to the Seattle scene, which ultimately led me to the Sea Monster Lounge, which is where I met Peter and was involved with Funky to Death, literally up until the pandemic started. You know, like we had to shut down because of, you know, stay-at-home orders and all that. So, and Sea Monster's open again, so get on down there when you can, all you people. But yeah, I mean, let's see, that got me into Seattle. That's where I met Peter Daniel. I mean, ultimately that led to Futurenot, you know, like Peter and I started writing music when we met. We just hang out and, you know, jam on little like phone drum machines and come up with this and that. And, you know, 10 years later, we get the crazy idea to maybe try and record some of this stuff because some of it's good, you know? And so we just, you know, we got together some friends, you know, recorded it. You know, Jason Gray, his studio in West Seattle. Yeah, totally. And it turned out pretty good, I think. You know, we actually had we didn't really plan on the pandemic at this point, but obviously the pandemic happened and it allowed us, you know, more time. Like we were perfectly poised to take advantage of all this free time because we had this, you know, set of 8 tunes that were ready to go, you know.
Right.
So we got to really focus on recording that. But going back to Lucky Brown sessions, I just have to mention, like, the most standout recording session with Lucky Brown is when it was actually Mesquite Sweet, right? And you've got that record, I think.
Love that record, yeah.
Yeah. So we were, I want to say it was like January, February, just November, December, something like that. It was sunny but cold, and Joel lives out in like I want to say like near Port Townsend-ish. Port Angeles is where he's at.
Port Angeles, yeah.
But his, you know, his house, he's got this like shed that the rhythm section is in the shed near this, like all kind of huddled around this wood fireplace stove thing, you know, and there was an aluminum ladder with a microphone duct taped to it that Peter, Joel, and I were basically just playing at from a distance. So it was crazy, man. I've never had like actually such a hard time playing a session before because, you know, you're like literally out in the elements, recording outdoors, gloves on,
No.
jacket, hat. I look like this, of course, out in the woods playing trombone with a saxophone and trumpet player. It was pretty amazing.
Wait a minute. I got to rewind. You were outside in the winter months recording music?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What song was it?
All of them, man. Like they're all recorded in that environment. It just says, I mean, Lucky Brown has got a way of capturing a vibe and, really showcasing, I guess, what individuals will do in whatever situation they're put into. Like he doesn't go for like the pristine necessarily, like a super perfect record. He's kind of going for the grit that gets you to that pristine performance, and the learning that happens as you play that track over and over. And for us, over and over in like almost freezing conditions. So I'm just kidding. It wasn't that cold, but it was pretty cool. Like it was like play your trombone and take a breath and see, there's a lot of breath, visible.
Were you outside the entire session?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. I mean, we had that wood burning stove, so we'd go in there and, have a beer and all that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's my next question. You've got 2 albums with the True Loves.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite and why between first and second?
Oh man, it's hard to choose between first. I think the first record might be my favorite.
Okay.
Simply because it was when we recorded it, we really all kind of came together to do it. It was we had just kind of separated with our vocalist at the time, Grace Love.
Yeah.
We were kind of looking for, and we made a banging record with her. I don't know if you've checked that one out yet, but y'all got to get your on that. But we had a strong band, and we just wanted to keep moving forward, but we didn't really have anything. We didn't have any plan or anything to really showcase kind of where we were at that moment in time. So we came together, decided we'd just write a quick record and record it and have something that we could at least use to kind of demo the band as it sounds now. So that's Famous Last Words. That's the record you get. And it wasn't really, it was just kind of recorded. We just, got in the rehearsal studio, wrote these songs out, recorded them and mixed it. And again, Jason Gray was the recording engineer and kind of co-producer within all that.
Wow.
But like that was definitely a moment. It definitely gave us like, the confidence and, just to be able to move forward. It was a tool. It was also just a big confidence builder for the band, really allowed us to like kind of feel confident trying to make some steps forward and, playing some cool shows and doing some things and trying to, show our music to the world a little bit,
Yeah.
Sunday was recorded kind of in a different way. It was more thought out. It was more rehearsed. So when we went into the studio on that one, it was pretty dialed in, versus Famous Last Words. There were some things that we would definitely have done differently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I want to understand is, because I got to see you guys live, and seeing everyone up on stage was just incredible. I mean, you're all stars in my opinion. I called you guys like the Wu-Tang of Seattle funk. What is it like when everybody, I mean, how are you all working together with all those stars in one room?
Star power.
Who's calling shots? Like, how is it going?
Everybody kind of calls shots. I mean, everybody does their job. Everybody, like plays their part essentially, the band has always felt like really cohesive, when we're not even playing music, like everybody can hang out in a room, have conversations like a big family, and then we pick up instruments and we kind of get to know each other a little bit more, it's always kind of felt like that. When we get on stage, I mean, we definitely try to keep to the script for the most part, but that's one of the the Jimmy James vibe is, let's change it up. Let's throw some curveballs. Let's really make something for the listeners, the fans out there, and so we all kind of rally around whatever might be going on at any given moment. Whoever's on the mic, support that person. Whoever's soloing, support that person. Whatever's going on in the rhythm section, or what I'm saying. It's just a big team of supporting fellows.
That's a great way to describe it, because that's exactly what I watched song after song when you guys were live. Was there were the solos, but everyone was leaning in, supporting it. Sometimes you guys would not compete against each other, but a little kind of play off, if you will. So that's really cool to hear that. Talk to me about labels, because I know the first record, I believe, that came out on Coal Mine, then we had Color Red, then we've got Park. Where does all that kind of fall in, and how are you choosing the different labels?
I mean, we put out a single on a compilation record with Coal Mine. I think it was Famous Last Words, if I'm not correct.
Yeah.
you know, we started some talks about putting out a record with those guys. We would have loved to do that, and you know, it ended up not kind of being the road for us. Zach Bloom's a good buddy. You know, I know him through Ben Bloom, who's you know, I think he's the originator, one of the originators of the polyrhythmics.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, and I know him because of Lucky Brand too. It all goes back to Lucky Brand. But you know, yeah, I'm kind of like off track now. Got me thinking about Lucky Brown. What were we just talking about, dude? Here I am. This is why I don't talk on the mic on stage.
No, you're fantastic. You know, I think it was just talking about evolution of the groups and whatnot, but it's actually another great segue. One of the things we talked about was you were going to play some of the demos from the True Loves record. So for everyone watching right now, we're going to kind of get to hear where some of these songs were birthed. These are the demos. Really excited. This is a new version of Show and Tell for us.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a tune we have called Famous Last Words, and I'm just pulling it up here. I'm hoping I'm going to pull up the right file for this. And this tune was one of the ones I brought in pretty close to before we went into the session. And it kind of just, it was a couple ideas like loosely put together, you know, in a form.
Okay.
But the band really came in and just kind of took their individual parts and developed them further. And what you hear is, you know, the group effort attack on, you know, what I basically gave them. But I mean,
wow. Okay.
Here it is. Tell me if I should turn it up or how are we doing here?
Wow. Shout out to Fireside Records. I think y'all.
You hear it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So what was the inspiration for this one? Where did the idea spark?
Where did this tune start? I don't know. It was probably the bass. I don't know. Like this is like, you know, when you're just hanging out in the shower and you just come up with some like melody or something random, you know, like that's kind of how my creative process tends to work. It's like always in the shower.
Okay.
But I don't know, like some bass line jam entered my head or something, and I recorded it and recorded some other things on top of it. And I don't know, before you know it, you have like the bones of a song. And
cool.
you know, the real magic happens though when you put the True Loves filter on it, you know, and you kind of give it the treatment, you know.
Right on.
So this tune, yeah, I mean, this was really, it's Famous Last Words. It definitely, everything is like really lame drum tracks because I'm horrible at making drum beats. There's another tune
I see Art Brown on the line. Shout out to Art Brown.
Oh, Art Brown, what up? Hey, Chris Lujan, what's up, man?
Lujan in the building.
Yeah. People, I know, like this is fun. Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I mean, that was Famous Last Words. It was definitely a little bit more scripted, you know. There's other True Loves tunes that come in as just like, you know, like a guitar lick or whatever, and we kind of scoped it from there. So just depends on, you know, what's going on, I guess, in each given idea. This is a tune called Kabuki that I actually kind of started writing with this dude, Jonathan Japaya, a good friend of mine, amazing photographer.
Okay.
Check him out. Him and I actually were on tour with Odessa back in like 2015. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and this tune kind of came about. If this is the right one, I think it is. There's an insane amount of compression on it. Probably sounds fuzzy.
We can hear it a little bit, but that's okay. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You can hear the melody in there, right? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, those are a couple demos for you.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing those.
Yeah.
So you talked about Odessa. I know you do work as a session player too. How do these opportunities come about? How do you get connected? Do you find them? Do people come to you? And then, you know, you've got your work with bands, but then you're kind of stepping out and you're having to get acclimated so quickly to play this part on a song. What is that like?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, I think first off, like word of mouth is huge, you know, in the music community.
Okay.
I think that's like the main way you get gigs is you have to show up at the, the jam sessions. You got to go out. You got to be part of like the music scene. But like once you start playing and meeting people, like if somebody, I mean, it happens to me when I'm like, who should we get for this thing or whatever, it's just whoever you happen to have met along the way that you enjoyed working with, they often just get the call. So, I think, I got introduced to the Monophonics when I opened with Tuba Luba for them, at Nectar Lounge, years ago. And sure enough, like 2 years later or something, they called me up for this one-off gig in Telluride. And, that kind of started that relationship. And, it kind of works like that. I ended up working with Odessa because of Bellingham and the Western connection. We all are Western grads.
Sure.
So that kind of came about because of one of the bookers up there at the Wild Buffalo. He kind of knew Jonathan Japaya, and Jonathan at the time was playing in the Funky to Death horn section with Peter and I. So Peter, Jonathan, and I all basically got the call to go play, like a Coachella weekend with, a week at Coachella with Odessa. So
that's wild.
It was insane. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Who else have you played with?
I did like the first. Macklemore was huge. I played with him. I mean, he still is, right?
Yeah.
I got brought into that for a couple gigs. Used to play with the Seattle Sounders marching band of all things. Yeah, totally. Did 3 seasons with them. It was the time of my life. That's what led to Macklemore. Honestly. So.
Wow.
But, it's funny, like because Macklemore, you put that on your resume or your music resume or whatever, and somebody that's like hiring people for the Odessa horn line or whatever are going to see Mac. It's just all like one thing leads to another, and that's how you end up kind of evolving in your musical career. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other component is just you got to be kind of, I don't know. I just try to be like an honest and truthful person as much as I can, and try to be the like I don't know. I enjoy hanging out with people, and I don't want to ever be a burden on anybody, and we always just try to like leave relationships in as good a shape as we can.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So, Lucky Brown, Kelly Finnegan, Jimmy Scratch James, you played with all of them. What's one thing that you've learned from each of them that's made you a better musician?
Oh, I know Jimmy James is specifically the kind of person that is going to put the time in on the song. Like when you ask Jimmy James to learn a song, he's going to put the love, the time, the energy into like figuring out like not only here's how the melody goes or here's how this chord movement goes, but like he digs deeper into the vibe and really tries to like emulate what he's got going on. So Kelly's kind of this, he's the same and different. Kelly's he's a master of soul music. I mean, he knows he lives and breathes soul, and you can hear it in everything he does musically, and I mean, everybody that I work with, is kind of always striving. I mean, I don't know that there's too many people that I work with that like really truly leave stage. Like we'll walk off stage and we'll be like, yeah, it was fun. It was a good time, crazy crowd. But there's always like things that you hang on to from each show, that you're never really happy with your own performance or that note or this thing that happened or a frack that piece or, and it's always kind of like trying to take that home and learn from it and move forward, and just, take it as a learning and try to be better next time. So.
Yeah. Very cool. So let's talk Futurenot. I want to kind of understand again the inception of how it started. We got a digital release this year. What can you tell us about all this?
Futurenot is the future, man. No, Peter and I are really excited for it. It's like the project, the way it started, kind of turned out completely upside down and backwards from how we ever envisioned it. What started like over 10 years ago of the two of us just hanging out and writing, melodies and bass lines over Easy Beat, turned into like a handful, like basically a folder of files that, we each individually had on our desktop, and, we'd get together and, fiddle with a song here or there for a couple hours a night. And, eventually though, right before like 2019, we were like hanging out, looking at 2020, thinking it was going to be a busy year for both of us. And we wanted to do something that we've been talking about for a long time. So we're like, let's just get a band together. Let's get some rehearsals going. Let's record this thing and just throw some money into it and make it happen. We get into the process. Literally, we have one show the week of the recording session. It's opening up for Neil Francis, and it's the night they kind of announce, that, hey, COVID's a thing. tomorrow you can't go to work, you know, stay home, only go to the grocery store, you know, essential needs only. Like, that was the night they announced it. Everybody in the crowd was kind of looking at each other like, is this the last time we're gonna do we
Wow.
hug? You know, like it was definitely a weird kind of vibe, you know.
Sure.
So that was our first and really kind of only big stage gig that we've had so far. We ended up going in, you know, Thursday of that week, starting the recording process, and then
Wow.
the pandemic kind of just took precedence, and we just realized that we had, you know, we were going to have significant amount of time to kind of really make this record kind of special. And I mean, the band we put together, you know, is a total testament to what happens when you put good people in a room together, you know. And the music really sounds like these individuals playing together, and that's the most exciting thing about it, is when you just listen to it, you know, like without horns, without anything else going on, the record was already banging. So we had all that time to put out the record. Yeah, we got a digital single or a digital release out of it last year, and we're currently waiting on the vinyl because they're obvious. You know, you've heard of all the shortages and delays and all that at the plants. So we are in line, just like everybody else, to receive our batch of 500 vinyls. So yeah, I mean, we're hoping to have that out. We actually have a show that was just announced today, I believe, for March 1st, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday at Nectar Lounge.
I'm gonna be there.
Support. Yeah, of course you're gonna be there. You're coming. No, but it's at Nectar Lounge. You know, Polyrhythmics are headlining. We're giving them.
Whoa, that's a great lineup.
Yeah, it's gonna be banging. So make sure you get your tickets now, because they're probably not good. It's probably gonna sell out. So
absolutely.
And hopefully we'll have vinyl to sell. You know, hopefully it'll be a vinyl release show for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Who's all in the band now besides you and Peter?
Yeah, so it's Tim Kennedy on keyboards, pianos,
Okay.
keyboards, key things, synth things, you know. Mark Hunter's the bass player. Cole Schuster on guitar. He's also one of the True Love's guitarists.
Okay.
And then David McGraw, who's also, you know, the True Love's drummer.
Yeah. Oh, you got one heck of a drummer. No wonder it sounded so good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he lays it down so you can dance it out, you know.
Very cool. Now, let's talk greatest hits. Where'd that title come from?
Well, I mean, so it's what is it? It's 8 tracks, I think, on the thing. Maybe it's 9 tracks. Can't remember. I think it's 9 tracks. But you know, it's like it's a collection of songs that were the best out of, you know, the library of songs we had. So, you know, Peter and I can be a little too literal at times, you know. So that's definitely a product of us being like, well, these are literally the best songs, or at least the ones we want to focus on. And how funny would it be to put out a greatest hits record first? So, you know, there you have it.
Let's talk about how we got the hip hop vibes on there. It's Mo Better, right?
Yeah, Mo Better. Known him for a long time. He works with Holy Pistola. That's his unit, his ensemble.
Okay.
And they're out of Seattle as well. But yeah, I mean, we had been kind of hanging out, working on some things here and there over the years, and you know, Peter and I really wanted to like kind of add something special on a couple songs, and we thought like kind of going the hip hop direction would be cool, and called it Mo, and spent a whole bunch of time kind of just getting to know the music with him, and you know, working out the flow. And yeah, so we were able to squeeze them on 3 tracks, and I think it added so much, you know.
I like those tracks.
Oh yeah. So
now, let me ask you this: how do you go and incorporate the hip hop into that funk jazz? How do you transition with that?
Well, you know, I think I'm just going to answer this in like this kind of way. I mean, I was super inspired when I saw the Freddie Gibbs with the Men in Street Band, right? I don't know if you've seen that Tiny Desk concert series.
Yeah.
That video is amazing. They did a great job. That like really kind of inspired me to take, I mean, it just felt like that's the kind of music I'm always playing. I mean, it's just soul music. It's jazz for the most part, you know? And there's definitely a little bit of crossover between, you know, those realms and the hip hop and the rap world. It just seemed to make sense to kind of go that direction. The inspiration though is not, you know, it's not just, it's like there's a Bad Not Good's always been, you know, one of my favorite groups. They just released a great record, by the way. It's amazing. It's been one of my favorite go-to listen tos. But you know, they're working with Ghostface Killer on a whole record, you know, and it's like an instrumental record or it's with Ghostface. So, you know, like the notion of like writing music with an MC versus writing, you know, like writing the music like literally with the MC versus having music written out and then just working to kind of add the right flavors in and where it needs to belong within the song. You know, I mean, it just doesn't. You can do it all. I feel like, you know, it's
Sure.
you know, however it ends up working out, however it makes the song better. You know.
Let's talk album artwork because I want people to understand what it looks like so they can go and find it on the streaming services.
Sure.
Tell us where that inspiration came from and just kind of describe it so we can we'll know what to look for.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Futurenot is it's reference to, you know, kind of, I don't know, it's a phrase that Peter and I kind of came up that, you know, just in conversation that kind of just references back, I think, to living in the present, kind of being in the moment. You know, it was a very strong vibe while we were writing the record, working out all the mixing and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, that's all you got during the pandemic, because you got what's going on now, so let's make it beautiful. And, so that's kind of where the band kind of gets its vibe from. I think, you know, the future component is definitely, you know, I've always been like, I can still, like, to this day, like, tell you what plane that is in the air, you know. I've got this, like, total weird hobby of airplanes, and, you know,
really
kind of in the same realm. And I don't know, we just wanted to keep it kind of spacey and light and futuristic and fun. You know, so we actually had my buddy who's the bassist with Kelly's band and the Monophonics, Max Ramey. He did the design work on that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Well, I definitely get the future vibe with that cover. Totally makes sense. That's on Color Red. You said 9 tracks on that?
Yeah, these 9 tracks. Yeah.
9 tracks. Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody definitely go check that on your streaming platforms. That's Futurenot. For our last question, I love to ask this. Why do you do what you do in terms of being a trombonist?
Well, so I'm a musician. You know, and a trombonist, but I mean, really, I'm a musician because it's what I feel I'm passionate about and what I love. And, you know, I've tried a lot of different other hats on, and I felt like that burning, like, what am I doing with my life feeling, you know, and I just, you know, at whatever point it was in my life where I was doing that, it was back in like 2008. You know, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I honestly told Target when I left that I was leaving for music, and I was just kind of bullshitting. I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving for something cool. I'm gonna go do something fun, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, I get home. I moved to Seattle, and I start working at banks, you know, and I started working other retail jobs and doing this kind of stuff, just all soul sucking, you know. And you know, I started playing music in Seattle, Tuvaluba, and then music was entering my life more and more every day. And I was looking more, you know, more forward to those opportunities than anything having to do with like helping somebody open a bank account, you know, or whatever it might be. I mean, I love helping people, right? But you know, the job component just wasn't ever clicking in a passion kind of a context for me. So I'm a musician because I think it's what I'm here to do, you know.
That's fantastic. I love that. So we're going to go ahead and kick off our lightning round. That's 10 quick one-word answers. It's designed to let folks know more about you as a person, less as a musician. But before we do that, if people want to stay up to date with Jason Cressey, where can they find you online? Where can they find your music, your merch, any upcoming shows, that kind of thing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm the most present and active on Instagram, so you can find me at Cressey on Bone, all one word. And then, you know, I'm like in the True Loves. You know, you can find us on truelovesband.com. You can find Futurenot at futurenotmusic.com. You know, there's the websites that exist. I'll post all that stuff up on the socials here in maybe tomorrow or something. But, you know, that's really where to go. It's just, I would love to have a website, but I've had a website and like, there's just no, you know, I don't have a reason for a website yet. So you can find me on Instagram. Yeah.
Very cool. And this is the latest release right here, physical.
Correct.
What can you tell us about this right here?
So that's a very special release. What we have there is Sunday afternoon from a very early session that we did at KXP back when it was Upstream Music Festival, back when that was a thing. We were fortunate to get into London Playing Studio. We played a whole set there with KEXP live on the air, and that song is, you know, the first thing we played. So
very cool.
It's also, if you're listening to the two versions side by side, that Parkside release is a completely different song, kind of. I mean, it's got the same, you'll hear a lot of the same elements, but a lot of stuff the horns are doing definitely evolved, you know, for better or for worse, you know. It's just kind of nice to have a little bit of variation, you know. So it's definitely special. Parkside, you know, David McGraw, our drummer, is really good friends with the owner of Parkside. So that release kind of came about through that relationship. And he's actually, I think, just starting out Parkside. He's got a lot more in store for y'all. from what I
That's
understand.
really exciting because I thought that was a great release. We got, I think, 2 color variants in the OG black. Very good stuff. All right, are you ready for the lightning round? Because I'm excited.
Oh man, I didn't know about lightning round, but let's do it.
All right, colored vinyl or OG black vinyl? You got to pick one.
Colored.
Yeah, 45 or LP?
LP.
If you had a theme song, what would it be and why?
We All Live in Brooklyn. That is the vibe of my life.
I love that. I love that. All right, something you listen to that we would not expect you to tell us about.
Oh man, I just bought a Steve Miller record. I'm very excited about it. Steve Miller Band.
Okay.
Yeah. I know,
Okay.
right? I'm getting back to some of those. Yeah, Steve Miller Band.
Very good. All right.
70s rock and roll, I guess. There you go.
70. Okay. All right. Favorite thing to eat for breakfast?
Oh, dude, yogurt with granola.
Yeah.
Greek yogurt.
All right. Favorite record to play in the morning while you're eating yogurt and granola?
I think honestly these days I'm listening to a lot of KEXP in the morning, so I put on KEXP.
Shout out
Morning
to KEXP.
John, you know.
Yeah. All right. Favorite. Let's see here. Recommend a song and an album that we should go check out that you've been listening to.
Oh shoot. Well, let's see here.
Shout out to Sweet Susie. I see you on the line.
You should just go listen to this record if you haven't already. I mean, it's Bad Bad Not Good's newest release. First cut on here is one of my favorite jams. So
I think I need to add that to my shelf because I have their previous release. I love all their stuff.
Yeah, they're vibey.
Okay. All right. What's
Sorry,
the last album 45 you bought?
Oh shoot, I haven't bought a 45 in a long time. I just don't really do 45s. But I think the last 45 and I have 45s, don't get me wrong. I'm just not like the DJ-minded vinyl listener, you know. The last one I received was one that I was on. I think it was a Lucky Brown cut. It was actually not a 45, it was a 10-inch, but it was a Lucky Brown, and I think it was About to Blow, something like that.
Wait a minute. Don't tell me, is that the Pecan Trees that you played on?
Yeah, dude. I think so. Pecan Trees. Let's see here, what is that?
That's a 10-inch, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I'm not on that side. I'm on the other side, About to Blow. That's Mars Lindgren.
That's crazy. I'm sorry. I love that record. Okay. Let's see. 3 musicians that inspired you.
Oh, well, I already said one. Well, Lucky Brown. Al Gray was definitely takes me way back. Chuck Israels.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
If Jason Cressey was a superhero, what would his superhero power be and why?
Oh, dude, I would be able to fly for sure. It's just the lifelong dream. Who doesn't want to fly, right? Who doesn't want to control that? I mean, don't you ever have those like dreams where you're like flying at night? You know, I
tell every guest all I want to be able to do is scratch my own back, man. That's it.
Oh well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
All right. If you could see any musician play live, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, I would. I want to go see Donny Hathaway live.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a live recording he did, which is like my favorite record that I own, Donny Hathaway live.
I've heard people talk about that record. That's your favorite?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just like it's beyond music to me. You know, if I could have been in that room, my God.
I feel that. Well, hey man, that takes us to the end of the interview, the lightning round. I want to thank you so much for making time to do this with me. I had such a great time seeing you play live, and I love everything you do. Come back anytime.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for all the work you do with the musicians too. You know, you really help and support us, and we all really appreciate it. So
my pleasure, brother. I appreciate you. Have a great night.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Later.
All right. Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. We're out. Take care, everybody.